Oh, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Security Guards React. It's your boy, Atypical Security Guard, here with my man, Kyler.
Howdy.
Today, we're going to be talking about something that is, I don't really even know how to set this up. In 2023, there was a mass shooting that happened in a Buffalo grocery store. Do you remember this?
I do.
I think it was a Publix or something similar. There was a retired police officer who was working as a security guard. And he actually levied shots back at the mass shooter, which bought time for people to get out. They say that his actions saved a lot of lives. Unfortunately, the former police officer who was working as a private security guard at the time, he lost his life. Now, I have often said that the death of private security guards should lead to legislation because a lot of times there's not a lot that's done in terms of addressing situations that private security guards face. I have been a huge proponent of security guards being issued body armor, I don't think that any private security guard who's working with the public should ever be in a situation where they don't have body armor on them. And so this situation has led to lawmakers introducing a new bill addressing body armor.
Wow.
What do you think about that, right?
I think that's incredible.
That's incredible, right?
If you're going to be put on the streets where police are a very reactionary groups, like by nature, they respond to a call. They aren't there when the call starts.
Right.
Security guards often are.
Often are.
So if law enforcement is going to wear body armor and carry a pistol, why would you not expect the people on site to be doing the same?
Spoken like myself. Let's watch the video. This comes to us from WKBW-TV, Buffalo, New York. Private security guards have ushered in, or the death of a private security guard rather, ushering in a new bill addressing body armor. Let's listen.
One of the victims, Aaron Salter Jr., will be remembered as a hero for his bravery 3 years ago today. The retired police lieutenant was the security guard on duty on May 14, 2022. The gunman opened fire on innocent shoppers and Tops employees. Salter returned fire, hitting the attacker and buying precious seconds for others to flee. But Salter lost his life that day because the gunman was wearing military-grade body armor that deflected Salter's shots. That body armor is available for anyone to purchase online. That's why some lawmakers are pushing for Congress to pass the Aaron Salter Jr. Responsible Body Armor Possession Act. This legislation would prohibit the sale or ownership of enhanced military-grade body armor by civilians. Tonight, 7 News reporter Maki Becker is taking a deeper look into this bill, sharing the voice of a top survivor who says Lieutenant Salter saved her life on this day 3 years ago.
Did I hear that right?
What did you hear?
Banning the sale of body armor to private citizens?
Yeah. So the reason why I bring this up, aside from the fact that it's connected to a guy that was working private security, is what's one thing that security guards are often told when they're trying to enforce any sort of policy with the public? You're just a
security guard.
You have no more authority than
me,
a private citizen. Security guards are no different than private citizens, which you're going to hear why that's important as they talk about this bill.
I heard him yell, "Run, run." He's just yelling at everybody to run and get out.
Those were the last words Rose Wasaki heard Aaron Salter yell. He was the retired Buffalo police officer working as a security guard at the Tops on Jefferson 3 years ago Wednesday. Aaron Salter confronted the gunman, shooting at him.
The terrorist who stormed my community was wearing body armor that couldn't be penetrated.
Knowing full well that he was underarmed and going against a threat that was more protected.
Buying precious moments for patrons and customers to hide or escape.
But Aaron Salter was killed. Today in Washington, D.C., Congressman Tim Kennedy, joined by Buffalo Common Councilwoman Zanetta Everhart, reintroduced legislation in the hero officer's name.
Today, we are introducing the Lieutenant Aaron Salter Jr. Responsible Body Armor Act, which will
ban enhanced military grade body armor from being purchased, possessed, or transferred by civilians. It should be only utilized by law enforcement and military.
So I want to say right off the bat, honestly, thank God. Fuck military grade body armor. It's heavy, it's bulky. You could buy a steel plate from Home Depot that does the same thing, just with a little extra spalding. And there's lighter and better alternatives.
What is military grade though?
That's the problem. It's such a subjective term that doesn't mean what people think it means. And I don't know, as someone who had to wear it for several years, I can say that
I feel like what they're saying though is military grade body armor is any body armor.
it's a buzzword.
Yeah.
They're buzzing it up to make it seem like
assault rifle.
Well, it's separating it from the civilian side versus the military side. Therefore, body armor is something only the military should wear. That's such a military thing. Why do civilians need that?
Exactly. And did you hear what they said? This should only be for military and law enforcement. We're talking about a private security guard in this situation. There's no carve out for private security.
What was the private security guard wearing?
Body armor.
Okay.
Yep. The same body armor that they want to ban that he was wearing, they want to ban because of the shooter wearing it. But this is just, in my opinion, a backdoor way into trying to remove body armor from civilian hands.
What else does this video tell us about the shooter? Does it tell him
It
about...
doesn't say anything. Let's listen to the rest of it.
Yeah,
Let's
let's listen.
He saved a lot of lives today. He really did. He shot at him. He slowed him down. And because he slowed him down, we were able to get more customers and employees out of the store. So if he hadn't done that, it could have been way, way, way worse.
Cashel Durham, Salter's sister, says she's honored that the bill is named after her brother.
I think it would be able to save lives. It's just sad that this had to happen for it to be reintroduced, because this is not the first mass shooting that we've had.
Earl Perrin, who was Salter's partner on the police force, said a national ban is necessary.
So there has to be legislation that's introduced not just in New York State, but around the country to prevent misguided, hate-filled mongers to go out and commit crimes and yet take care of their own safety.
Oh, if we just pass a bill to keep hate-filled mongers from committing crime. The thing that I find interesting is that, you have multiple people in this video who are talking about the lives that were saved because this private security guard was able to shoot back. Let me say this again, because the private security guard took it upon himself to shoot back at the mass shooter. That led to the saving of lives. But they're not advocating for a law to be passed for security guards to have better access to firearms in terms of being armed. They're not even talking about passing laws for the average citizen to be able to better have access to firearms to protect themselves. They're literally saying that what saved the people in this moment was the fact that bullets were going back towards the perpetrator. But no one is addressing that positive aspect of what happened. They're utilizing the fact that the mass shooter was wearing body armor to now reintroduce, and they talk about this. This is not the first time that this bill has been introduced. They are reintroducing this bill, and they're trying to utilize the tragic death of this security guard to basically prop up the validity of passing this. I find that to be so disrespectful and so disingenuous.
I got like 7 different tandems I want to go down.
Give me your top. Give me your one top tandem.
There is malicious play of words in this entire article.
Speak on
everyone.
Speak on it. Let's go.
There was no information given about the shooter, his history, his or her history, his or her mental health, his or her reason for doing it, what his or her was armed with. There was no breakdown of that whatsoever, anything about the shooter other than they were wearing body armor. Everyone fixated on it. Right here at the end, when this guy's saying that we need to implement this not statewide but nationwide to prevent malicious actors from committing these crimes, that is posing everyone who goes out and buys body armor as a private civilian as having the potential to be malicious, which is true.
Yeah.
But the angle of it is it's going to fearmonger people.
Good point.
If I have body armor at home and I'm not a security guard, I'm not in the military anymore, does that mean I am more likely or that I'm going to use it to go shoot up a grocery store. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that at all.
Yeah, it paints people with a brush. It's not fair.
And the idea of, unless you can swing really hard, you cannot kill someone with body armor. You got to bludgeon really hard. So this is, by every definition, body armor is a defensive measure meant to save life. To say that allowing people to privately own it is causing greater loss of life it's counterintuitive.
Everything that surrounds people's ability to protect themselves is under attack.
And that's the thing. And I agree with the incentive. So, okay, let's go back to the LA shooting way back when that led to police officers wearing body armor and carrying patrol
Yeah,
rifles.
it's like the movie Heat. It's like the LA
The LA
West Los Angeles
the LA
shootout.
bank heist.
Yeah.
The two guys who were super heavily
Yeah.
armored. Let's go all the way back to that. Okay. The response to criminals wearing the equivalent of juggernaut suits
Yeah.
was police officers nationwide began carrying patrol rifles.
Yeah.
That was a escalation of force.
Yeah.
They had to start carrying military equivalent armaments because in the eyes of the people, there were military grade assailants performing harm. There was that was a escalation and match of force. I understand that maybe the perspective here is that instead of escalating and matching by, oh, assailants are now using, let's now give security guards patrol rifles, instead of like further weaponizing, they're drawing back. And they're using the tragedy and death of this guy. We have no idea what his wishes would have been.
Right.
And yet they're naming the band.
That is a
after
very
him.
good point.
They're naming
That is a
the
very
band
good point.
after him.
Yeah.
They're farming on the tragedy of his death to sequester emotions to pass a bill.
Well, like you were saying, we could go down like so many different roads with this.
Right.
But I just want to say specifically, like, how ridiculous it is that they're talking about a private security guard. They're not even, I don't know if they're unaware or if they're purposefully not addressing the issue of the fact that this will affect people like that officer, because if a private security guard is not law enforcement, they're not seen as public safety, they're just a private citizen who's working in a capacity of having authority over property, then you're not giving a carve out for that private security guard. I don't want there to be a carve out for private security and for the average citizen to not be able to have body armor. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not even addressing the fact that you're making security guards who are going to come after this guy even more unsafe. Because if you're saying that they can't have body armor because they're private citizens, now they're even more out in the open in this situation than the guy that was killed trying to save people.
And I think that there's a misunderstanding in the masses about how body armor works. It isn't like Juggernaut armor from a
just
video game.
right.
It isn't like
Can't be penetrated.
Yeah,
it's
not
too
like,
strong.
It's not like it gives you 50% more health. No, what it is and why the military uses it is to make it so you can tank a hit and not get hit in a vital organ.
But it's not just the military. That's why anybody would wear it. But
that's why the military started using it. Was they wanted casualties were getting so severe from shrapnel and from stray rounds and automatic fire that we started using body armor just to make it so the medic can actually save your life.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to make it so you can charge into battle, take 80 shots and keep fighting. You take a hit to the armor, you're going to feel it.
I always wonder why. I mean, I have my own personal thoughts on it, but I'm so frustrated when they have former law enforcement officers who sign off on this stuff. And I get it that if you're in law enforcement, you want to not even the odds, but tip the scales in your own favor. But disarming American citizens or putting American citizens in situations where they can't protect themselves, it goes against every aspect of the fiber of this country. And it's so wrong. And it's just disgusting to me that this is all being placed on a security guard in terms of how they're naming it and kind of putting it out there and framing it around it being to honor this security guard, but at the same time placing more security guards in danger.
Right. And I hear so many people talk about these issues, and there's so much of a it's us versus them mentality nowadays. Like everything's so divided and polarized that there's no There's no consideration for both people in the shootout were wearing body armor.
Right.
Like that because one of them died and the other one didn't.
It's the inability to see the tool in this situation being used for evil and for good. Both people had guns. One person used a gun for evil, one person used a gun for good. Both people had body armor. I'm assuming the guy that died had body armor, but one person was able to live, one person died. And they're leaning one way or the other to prop up and frame whatever it is they're trying to pass without seeing the other side as well. It just seems really disingenuous to me. But
it does. It feels, it's going to sound jaded, but it feels agenda driven. Like there's an angle to it that is trying to be capitalized.
Absolutely.
And it just doesn't feel right because I don't know. I'm trying to hold back.
Yeah.
I'm trying to articulate myself in a way that is appropriate.
Keep it professional.
Keep it professional because, you know, I know guys who've been saved by body armor. Yeah. In civilian, military, and law enforcement. I know guys who have been saved by body armor. And whether it was improvised or legitimate, didn't matter.
Yeah.
The fact is that they were saved by a piece of material that some other people would rather have banned.
Let me ask you guys a question. If you were working in a state where they have banned body armor, would you still work in security? And let's sweeten the deal a little bit. Let's put a little bit extra money in the pot. If they banned body armor, but they gave you a considerable raise to work without it, would you do it? Would you do it? Would you take that job for $65, $70 an hour, working in East St. Louis at a gas station, the night shift on the weekends? Would you do it? Would you take that job, but you can't wear body armor because now it's illegal?
I think I would just illegally wear it.
Yeah. There's gonna be site checks. You can't get away with it.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So answer that in the comments. Drop it below. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think that this is kind of disgusting the way that they're framing this? Do you agree that even security guards shouldn't have access to body armor? And would you take that job working with no body armor if they were to give you a considerable raise, making $60 to $70 an hour, but you're working in the worst drug and gang infested area of the country late at night, and you know there's going to be problems? What would you do?